Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Kevin. I'm joined by,
Armando?
and we are here to review A24's new film, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Thank God for Armando because I thought I was the only guy in the island who actually liked this movie because I know Logan and Henley despise this film and they've been making fun of me through text about this for weeks. Now, A24, you got Midsummer, Hereditary, Men. What other movies am I missing? What's another good horror movie that they've done or a weird
Um,
movie?
hmm. They had The Witch. They had The
Yeah, The Witch.
Lighthouse.
Yeah, and so now they're dipping their feet into a new genre, which is the teenage slasher. And it's successful. Obviously, as I said, I liked it, and Armando liked it. And in this film, you got a group of teenagers gathering in a mansion. They're all social media obsessed, and the mansion is vacant, just like their personalities. And you have this game, Bodies, 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 which is the title, and it is a game they play that basically it's just like a murder mystery kind of fun thing. But things start getting crazy when people start dying for real. And we will spoil it further in the review, but for now, we're just going to talk about it. Armando, what'd you think?
So I was saying before the review, I went into this first trailer, I was like, this movie looks terrible. I was like, this is a bad way to promote it. Look like a parody of something I was not gonna want to see. And I just took a whim. I just took it on chance. I was like, okay, let me see something different, something, that's not seen like anything that has come out like recently. And then I thought the second trailer really did do a good job of at least showcasing more of what the movie was like. So when I went into it, I did think, okay, I don't know what to make of it because it was not clear. Like it's horror in a way and it's comedy. I feel like it touches on a lot of different like genres.
Yeah.
But what I think it worked for me with it was it's the kind of movie where I like this weird genre of movies where it's just, or even TV has done stuff like this where it just, let's get all these people who are like terrible people and like just get them to clash with each other. And I
Yes.
think that's part of why the movie works for me.
Yes.
Like I just really simply why I was very into it. Like it made me laugh for that reason. Just it wasn't going the way that a typical horror movie would go, and I think it plays with the structure, which I thought
Yes.
was really clever. And some people are not gonna get it, and it's not. I get that. It's kind of, I can see for some people it's grating, but I did really like just the kind of push and pull with the characters and how
Mhm.
much they just did not like. They're supposed to be friends, and it's like in every shit, it's like in a way a lot of the stuff that happens is because of them, because they don't
Yes.
have those trust issues. They're just so like always clashing, and there's always some kind of thing that comes out that is just like not really like it's something that was never really resolved at the beginning. When you find out about one character comes back in like the friend group, and it does seem like, okay, well, if that had been resolved before, or at least we had like an actual clear conversation, all this would make sense. But I think what made it work for me is just how everything just was so complicated because it could have just been cleared up, but because everybody is just so into their own world,
Yep.
it worked on its own. It worked because of that. Like I like that kind of way of how the movie worked. And I think how it does work as horror comedy, I thought it was really well done. I think it would work more as a, I feel like it was more of a satire to me, like as like Gen Z culture and stuff like that, and like
Mhm.
how we're obsessed with our phones. Because
Yep.
everybody in this movie just had phones the whole time. They just had, and I don't think it did it in like an annoying way. I
No.
thought, it fit with the characters. I thought that what how they made it work within the story and stuff like that. I thought it was effective, and I generally thought when it was I kind of was I was very invested, and even if you're not like super like into like the character, I don't need my characters to be lovable. I don't need them to be like, and I don't need them to have like, oh, I need them to be more, because I think sometimes nowadays with think pieces and stuff, we are always like, our characters have to be good, and that way the movie is good or the show is good. Like I think it's good to sometimes watch something where you can kind of be like separated or like at a remove when you watch characters, and like
Mhm.
you can just see things unfold, and I just think in general, I just was invested just because, like I said, I think there was enough conflict here, and I think how it plays with how it's a slasher movie really helped to kind of make it its own thing. And like when it was done, I was kind of disappointed because I did really get invested in like where it was going. And I thought I was saying on the main show that Rachel Sennott, I thought she was really hilarious in it. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
really good.
I
Yeah,
love Rachel Sennott, and
yeah,
she was very good in this movie.
yeah, yeah. I thought she had the she and Pete Davidson and Lee Pace. I thought were really funny in it.
Yeah. And, just to bounce off what you're saying, that's what I loved about it. Everything you just said, I'm just going to summarize in one little thing is basically the catalyst for their relationships and their friendships to dissolve is that blackout. Because I didn't say it in the summary. They all go up to that mansion. They're all obsessed with their phones, as you said. And when the blackout happens and then the murder happens, which we will talk about, that is when their true selves come out. And that's like, it's, girls are very passive, and I thought this movie basically caught the cattiness and the passive aggressiveness of female friendships quite well. I have a little more insight to it than the other guys, because I'm a teacher, and I see this all the time. I see like, oh, you said this about me on social media. No, I didn't. Oh, it snapped. And I'm these characters, as you said, outside of Maria Bakalova as B, these are awful people.
Yeah,
like the director and the writer takes no like time saying, oh, these are people that are just misunderstood. No, these are awful people. But outside the performances, the writing, I really liked the cinematography in this movie.
I did. Yeah, I agree.
Because if you remember, did you watch Game of Thrones or no?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so remember the war near the end of the series?
Yeah, where everybody complained about how
no one could see anything.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember that episode because it was such a letdown because it was a big war and I had to adjust my screen. I had to shut my lights off. Here, they're in darkness, but I liked how it was lit by the phones, the limited lights that were, I guess, were on power supply thing.
Yeah,
and also if you went to bar mitzvahs or parties when you were a kid, those like
the little necklaces,
they illuminated and they were purposely put around the actresses' necks so you can see their faces, and it honed in on the performances. And Sennott, as we said, was incredible. Like she just bounced off everybody quite very well, and I thought they were all good at playing awful people.
Yeah,
and I thought the twist, which we'll get into in a second, I thought it was a great rug pull of a moment, because throughout the whole thing, I was doing it too, that I was like, okay, maybe it's her. Well, no, wait, actually they set up, they make it very well done as far as, okay, I think it's her. It could definitely be her. It could definitely be her. It could definitely be her.
Yeah.
And I thought, I know you guys said on the podcast that Maria Bakalova really wasn't given that much. Yes, but I feel that with lesser actresses, this would not have worked. They brought out a lot of things that I think actresses that I just said, who are less caliber, wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And for you viewers who are basically listening right now, we're gonna spoil the movie, so skip right here. Okay. I loved the fact that Pete Davidson killed himself.
Yeah.
his own throat.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I actually laughed out loud. I'm like, and it just makes sense because you heard reports in the news where people taking pictures on a cliff, they go too far back and they fall and they kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I loved it because when that happens, they, the two people who are alive, B, and I forgot the other girl's name, her girlfriend.
Her girlfriend.
They look at each other and are like, oh my God, we're awful people. This was done under emotion. We should have basically worked together. Yeah. And now everyone is dead in this house besides us. And I thought that was such a cool twist in the movie. But what do you have to say about the spoiled ending?
I mean, I had a lot of possibilities of how it could go. And I don't know, there was a part of me that was like, it felt like the most realistic way it could end. Because I felt like in a way it did foreshadow it. I was like, if there's one way that it happened, it has to be Pete Davidson. Probably killed himself. Because he was just in the background just doing stuff. And I remember he was playing with that machete the whole time. I think it was a machete. And it was like, okay, if there's one way it's going to go, that would be one of the things that would make the most sense to me. But I think the movie did a good job of making everybody like an actual like you could suspect anybody else, and it did go in a way where, hey, maybe it doesn't go in that way, but I think it just speaks to how like they're just so careless, and
Yeah.
they're just like having such a good time, and like it just things can just happen out of nowhere, and nobody was prepared for it, and everybody just assumed, they just made everything such a big like event, like it just becomes bigger than it is. And yeah, the blackout is a big deal, but the fact that they're just so like, oh, this could happen. Nobody's just like, hey, let's start at the most realistic point. Nobody thinks that. They just automatically assume, hey, somebody in the room is the killer.
Yeah.
And that's just the most extreme way to start, you know. But I thought it was well done. Like when they showed the actual clip, like on his video on his phone, I just thought, okay, that
Yeah, like,
it
of
was,
course he
yeah,
would
it
die
makes,
that way.
yeah. I kind of figured it was gonna go that way, but I was like, it was well done, and like how he was shot, it was just funny to me. Like it was simple, but it was like, yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically final word on this film. I understand why Logan and Henry didn't like it. And I understand people who basically will see this because I've been recommending it to my friends, and so far I'm one for one. One said, "Oh, that was actually pretty cool. I didn't expect that twist." And everyone's like, in the Henry and Logan camp saying like, "Oh, that was absolutely terrible." And I understand that. It's not a movie where I'll be like, "I'll fight you." Like, it's not for everybody. And
Yeah.
the characters are awful people, so if you need to feel a connection to the characters, you're not going to like this movie. Outside of Bakalova, who plays B, but I just thought it was an interesting take because if there was a killer, I don't think the movie would have been more as impactful as it was. If it was actually, I gotta be like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. It's just it's a dig at the current generation and their phones.
Yeah.
I like that they basically did the ending we just talked about. Oh, by the way, guys, welcome back. This is the point where you can stop spoiling the movie. We're talking about our final critique of it, and I think we're both on the same page where it took a lot of chances, and some of it didn't work, some of it I kind of was like, oh, okay, it's getting a little too much. But overall, I thought the performances were good. I liked the writing. I loved the direction. I loved the cinematography. I thought it was a pretty well-made film, and much to Logan and Henry's disdain, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 hair pieces.
Just curious, what parts didn't you think worked?
They were getting under my skin a little bit.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
But, that's overshadowed. I know I'm going to say it's 100th time in this review. I dug the cinematography a lot, and that's what A24 is known for. And they definitely, pulled the stops in here. How about, what would you rate it?
I think I would give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I'm the same way. I thought I just had a fun time with it. It's not anything deep. Like, it does what it says it's gonna do. But I think when you were mentioning about Maria Bakalova, like, I did think she was, as far as like the characters, maybe not the most like, oh, the crazy character, like the one that like stands out. But I think in a way, the more I think about it, it's good that somebody there had to be kind of like an audience surrogate, and kind of somebody that we, the audience, can kind of be our entrance into these characters in a way. So I thought she handled that well, even if like she doesn't get a lot to do. But I thought what they give her to do, she handled it well. And I just think it's a movie, like you're saying, it's not going to be a movie everybody's going to love. It's gonna grate. I can tell it's gonna grate on a lot of people, because I'm already hearing people say that they have a lot of opinions about it. But I think if it's something where you're like, for me, I was like, I want to watch something with young people. That was kind of what I went into it for. I was like, watch something youthful, something different. And then it's something to try if you're like somebody who's like, oh, I want to try something that's not the typical horror slasher comedy kind of thing. And I mean, it's the kind of movie I think it's definitely worth taking a chance on if you want to see it. It's worth seeing in a theater if you can check it out still in a theater, or wait for it on VOD, whatever it is. But I thought it's genuinely like a fun time that I had watching it. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, did you watch Shiba Baby or no?
I did.
You liked it, right?
I was okay with it. I
Were
need
you
to
okay with
rewatch it. I thought she was really good. I thought Senna was really
Yes.
good in it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I'm a big fan. You know, I'm interested in where she goes and Bakalova.
Yeah.
Bakalova's movie, the other movie she came out with this year, she was a co-star in The Bubble. That sucked.
That movie was so yeah, it was
Yeah.
not great.
But
Yeah.
all right, so we're both getting it 4 stars or 4 hair pieces. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys, definitely check that out. It's probably on VOD or it's coming soon because the window of things being in the theater, unless you're Top Gun, and
Yeah, exactly.
it's shrinking. So definitely watch this one. I'm definitely gonna check it out again. I want to watch it again. I want to
Me
see
too.
knowing the twists and everything. But that's the word from Armando now. We're doing 4 hair pieces each, and as we say at the sites, cheers.
Cheers.